Hey folks, Silicon Steve Valli here, and thank you for watching our very first episode. And all I can say, I apologize for the audio right now. It's going to get better for the show. I want to say thank you so much. This is our very first show, and I want to give you a quick rundown on what the show is going to be about. What we're going to do is we are going to focus on ordinary people doing extraordinary things. You know, we hear a lot of shit every single day about how that Republican's racist and that liberal's a cuck. Whatever the case may be. Let's pump the shit out of the world with positivity, love, and we're going to do that by focusing on inspiring people. We're also going to do some comedy, and we're also going to do some music. I'm going to perform with you guys live every single solitary week. Originals, mostly originals, but we're going to do some covers that pertain to a possible situation. So I want to thank you guys so much. I will say this. It is very gratifying to be able to have a lot of people reach out to me. My ex-girlfriend Danielle, for example, she said, "You are so disgusting, I hate you." I don't know what that means, but I think it was words of encouragement. I'm not sure. But I'm reading these online. Self-deprecating humor, I guess, is the way to go these days. Anyways, we have a great show for you today. We have the amazing, talented, and beautiful Hilary Clarkson. I've been friends with this woman for a long time. Proudly, and she has been a marijuana advocate since day one. We're going to get into all that. But before we do anything, I wanted to make an apology. I had said something previously on TikTok that a lot of people took offense to. It was actually taken down for bullying. And I'm sorry that I said whatever I said about the Pentagon. I'm sure it was hit by a plane. I'm sure it was. But anyways, here is a press conference from our publicist. Press conference to kind of explain when I have a tendency of saying some things that are off the rails. We just want to make sure everyone is under the correct understanding that my views might necessarily align with the show's. Let's see a look at this press conference that happened just earlier today. Thank you everybody for coming tonight. I know this is kind of short notice, but we'll be quick. As the publicist for the Silicon Steve Valli show, we just want to reiterate that what he said about the Pentagon on his TikTok and kicked off of TikTok subsequently, those views that Silicon Steve Valli has said and done are not necessarily, as the warning says on the video and on the podcast, are not necessarily the views of the show. So do we have any questions?
Hi, yeah, Pat Subrinsky, morning call. So you're saying that the Steve Valli show doesn't reflect the Steve Valli?
Not necessarily. Okay, so Silicon Steve Valli is his own person. He's not just going to come out and always go with the company line. It's not what happens here. So, as I said, his views do not necessarily, does not necessarily mean the views of the show. Okay?
Yeah, just one thing. Aren't you Steve Valli yourself?
Look, I wear a lot of hats. I do a lot of, that is true. I wear a lot of hats here. So, sometimes Silicon Steve Valli could be the host. Sometimes he's doing other things right now. But right now, we're talking about the host, Silicon Steve Valli, and what he said about the Pentagon. That opinion doesn't necessarily align with the Silicon Steve Valli show.
So, since you're Steve Valli yourself, can you please explain what your exact opinion is on what he said?
Look, I don't know what he exactly thinks about every little thing. He's the host of the show. He's completely different. I wear a lot of hats. I'm wearing this hat right now. I am a producer, I'm an editor, and I'm so proud of all the hardworking people we have here on the Silicon Steve Valli show. So no, the point of the answer is Silicon Steve Valli does not necessarily represent the Silicon Steve Valli show. I don't understand what's so fucking hard here, people.
You are Steve Valli though, right?
I wear a lot of hats. I have hats. And I have to do this, I have to do that. It all depends on the hat I'm wearing. I can't just go willy-nilly down, go get another hat, and then be Silicon Steve Valli the host. It's not how this works. I have to be the publicist right now. I'm wearing this fucking hat. Stupid question. Nobody likes you. And you smell horribly. Next question, please. And can we please have no more questions on a Silicon Steve Valli, the host, is in my head and knows what I think. I don't know what he thinks. He doesn't know what I think. Can we please move on? Next question.
Yeah, it just seems like you're the only person that works on the show, so you're the only one that would have an opinion. So how could it be different?
There are a lot of magic makers here at the Silicon Steve Valli show. I can't give you all their opinions on things. Silicon Steve Valli doesn't represent necessarily the views of the Silicon Steve Valli show. It's a very simple concept.
Can't you just go get the hat and become the host then?
I can't just go get the hat and come here and be the host. I can't just go get the hat and then all of a sudden I'm the host. I'm the publicist right now. This is very difficult. Fuck. I mean, I'm even doing the reporter now. Shit.
I can confirm.
I'm gonna have to smoke some marijuana. You guys have absolutely destroyed me.
Just get Steve Valli the host.
Oh, you want Silicon Steve Valli? You want the host? Sure, I'll get the host. I'll be right back. I'll get the fucking host. I'll get the fucking host. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the man of the hour is here. What is your question?
So, we've had a bunch of people named Steve Valli doing the same thing, saying that Steve Valli doesn't share the same values as the Steve Valli show. Can you explain how anyone else could be responsible if it's just you?
What? It doesn't make any goddamn sense. Look, I'm my own person. That publicist is a jack off. Look at my hat. I'm the talent. I'm the straw that stirs a drink. And if none of you like it, tough tennis said to kid it. I'm out of here. Bullshit. Yeah, fucking temper on me. Sorry about that. Don't worry, I'm wearing the nice Pink Floyd hat today. So we will be right back with medical marijuana mama, my homegirl, the beautiful and talented Hilary Clarkson, when we come right back. Thanks so much for joining the Silicon Steve Valli Show. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with the beautiful, talented, trailblazing Hilary Clarkson. And if you don't know, Hilary Clarkson is owner-operator of it. Now it's called Old School Farms.
Yes.
See, I did my research. Old School Farms. She's also has been an advocate for marijuana for decades, not years, not months, decades. And she's as beautiful inside as she is outside. And she's also helping people using the amazing plant that is the cannabis plant that has been gifted to us from the universe, or God, any way you want to look at it. And she's been trying to send a lot of truth this way. And we're going to go into her journey through the world of cannabis, her entire journey going from California, selling, growing, curating, running an entire business now. Ladies and gentlemen, Hilary Clarkson. Thank you so much, Hilary.
What's up?
What's going on? So let's get into it. What are you doing? Let's start not your at the very beginning. Let's start what you're doing now. Tell me about tell me about Old School Farms, how it came to be, and then we're going to get you exactly how it all comes to pass.
Well, we live in southern Maine, and we've been here now. That was our 4th growing season, and we love it. There's amazing soil and water here, so we've been just growing organic cannabis and making medicine, like this kind of stuff: FICO, gummies, flour, salve, all sorts of stuff. So that's what we do all day. And we grow it ourselves, and we use high THC cannabis and really good soils and nutrients, and make the best medicine we possibly can so that we can make the best treatments for people and ourselves.
Well, just so we know, you can, and if you aren't living in Maine, and how could someone get some of your product if they're trying to do that? Let's take a look at that. Put that to the camera. Look at that.
Mhm.
What kind of marijuana we got right there? What kind of cannabis is
Well,
that?
this barely trimmed piece of mimosa. I'm just trimming it down. I would take it off the stem because the stem's really heavy. But well, I live in Maine, so really my cannabis we use to make medicine. Our salves and stuff we share with a lot of people, but I'm not really a big marketer. I'm more of, I donate all over the country to whoever needs it. That's more of what I'm doing than selling weed in Maine, because that's what everybody's doing. They don't need me. I don't even know anybody here. Like, I'm a stranger. I go places and it's bizarre because there's tons of deadheads and I just don't even know any of them. And I just zip it and stay home.
And if those of you who don't know, Hilary does know a little bit about the Grateful Dead, which, as you know, we're going to talk a lot about the Silicon Steve Valley. We're going to talk a lot about music as well. So nice little interconnection between marijuana and the Grateful Dead. So you're also helping people out with cancer. We're going to go and take a deep dive in that in a little bit later, but quick little synopsis of what you're doing to help people with cancer.
Well, what we're doing is we donate the FICO, the full extract cannabis oil, that we grow the cannabis, and then my partner Brett makes the medicine. He uses organic extractahol. So we do from seed to medicine. We take immaculate care of it, and then we donate it to people that have issues with a lot of things, not just cancer, ALS, MS, Parkinson's, arthritis, colitis, a lot of sleep issues, which we're having the best solving with these little gummies. If you look, there are these little things. We haven't found anyone that it doesn't put them to sleep or kill their migraine. So we're literally treating things like MS, migraines with candy, but it's organic, GMO free, but it's still, compared to the damaging of the pharmaceuticals, we're trying to be the first thing you check. If you get a diagnosis, we would rather you call us and try using organic cannabis for your issues than go on all these pharmaceuticals, damage all your organs, be a mess and pale and come to us like with your kidneys failing, liver failing, and it's just a nightmare. So I guess what I want is for everybody that gets a diagnosis like that to start using a little bit of cannabis from the get-go. And we're not against other people's medicine. We are not doctors. We are not trained in, I don't know any of that. Okay. So I am not trying to be, use this, don't do that, this is wrong. I'm not even someone to judge what is right and wrong in the medical field. I'm a farmer who takes immaculate care of her cannabis and has somebody with a degree that's very smart make the medicine. I don't make the medicine myself. And so that's just something that I really want people to understand, that we're not over here being like, use our medicine and you will be cured. That's not what we're saying. We're saying like, you're probably going to have to get a lot of like very dangerous, damaging treatment. So if you take the cannabis alongside it, it can not only help your outcome, but it also helps protect your organs while you're going through things like that. So we want to really push that as much as possible, more than be like, we're not extremists. My grandma, Sylvia Silverberg, was the head nurse at Mount Sinai for 30 years. And she was a nurse there before antibiotics and vaccines. And growing up, I learned a lot from her. She was my closest relative. This is actually her bracelet. I wear it all the time. And she taught me that antibiotics and vaccines have saved more lives than anything she ever saw. The hospital before vaccines and antibiotics, working in the hospitals, watching people die, to what once they had antibiotics in the hospital, she said it was the biggest night and day, probably like we see the microwave or the computer. Like computers came out when I was in 4th grade, so she also taught me a little bit of everything is the way to go. Not too much of anything. Don't be extreme. Don't get obsessed with, I have an aunt that goes on and off. I'm off coffee. I'm on wine. I'm off wine. It's like, just, keep your life solid. Have a little of everything. Not everything. I mean, I'm from New York. Don't smoke crack. But you know what I'm saying. So I'm learning through her not to judge others and their choices. Let's just add cannabis. That's my idea.
and it's so right. And we're just learning this stuff that we weren't really even necessarily aware of, say 20, 25 years ago. We didn't know that the endocannabinoid system was even a thing. We didn't know that the cannabinoids attached to the
96, I got my medical card as a caregiver. How many years ago is that? So I knew my best friend in 1995, December 19th of 1995, she got diagnosed with third stage colon cancer. And her family never showed up. Her husband took a job on the road, and I took her to 52 chemotherapy treatments and 8 weeks of radiation. And I was able to, from the first day that there was caregivers in the state of California, I got a card due to that. And we knew, and we made cannabis brownies, and we would bring them in. And it's since then that I have just smoked weed wherever I wanted, whenever I wanted. I carry it with me wherever I want. Ever since that experience with the cancer and getting my caregiver card, I've always just kind of felt like, stop me. That's how I feel. Have fun with your bad self.
That's amazing.
Because it's not.
That's fantastic. You know what? It just really
that we're given this job on the earth. Like, this is my job. And that's why we'll go back to how this all started for me and how I ended up right here was when I was in second grade. My parents, I come from a rich family, private school, horses type of thing, okay? My parents put me on Ritalin, which is an amphetamine, which actually delays emotional growth. They put me on it from a young age. I want to say second grade. They want to say fourth to fifth, whatever. Our memories are different. But from a very young age, like pre-puberty, through till I went to college and turned 18, I was fed Ritalin, which is like, it isn't even like an amphetamine, it's an amphetamine. Anyway, so when I got to boarding school in 9th grade, I had never seen weed. I had only smelled it in movie theaters in New York City. Okay, I'm from New York. So I get to 9th grade. My first day at 9th grade, the prettiest girl I've ever seen, I'm still friends with her. Her name's Phoebe Belcher. She came from the Santa Cruz Mountains to Massachusetts to Stoneleigh Burnham boarding school, where we all rode horses. I mean, bizarre stuff, okay? Rich people stuff. So she comes and she said, look what my nanny packed me. And she opened a record thing, and she had buds like way bigger than the ones that I have sitting here, like the size of my arm, Santa Cruz mountain weed. And she showed me cannabis, and I smoked it and nothing happened. And then I smoked it again and nothing happened. But then the third time it worked, and I went and rode my horse named Itchy and got like, and was like giggling and having the best time, because I'm horseback riding with all these bizarre life I've had, seriously. So
wait, the first time you got stoned was riding a horse?
Was I got stoned and went and rode my horse. Yes, because our barn was at our school.
How many people can say that?
School. And so, yeah, that it finally worked. I didn't think it worked. I believed that I didn't smoke pot, that it didn't get me stoned. It didn't work for me because I kept smoking it and nothing would happen. Anyway, she had a bathroom in her room that was in between the two rooms, and we would just put towels down, open a window, and spray anise, this like perfume, and we smoked a ton of weed. So she had all the weed. I didn't have any weed. I mean, and I was just like, so I got a pass to walk to town to go to the CVS. This is my first week at boarding school. I'm 14 years old. Okay. Fresh out of New York City, Westchester County, that tri-state area. I go and I hang out at the drugstore until I see, I kid you not, a red-headed guy with, his name ended up being Rusty, with like with a mullet, a jean jacket and jeans. And I go up to him and I'm like, I need to get weed. Like, I have no weed. How weed around here? Because where I'm from, even though I didn't smoke, they sell it on 94th Street. At the time, you could go buy nickel bags. Anybody that wanted weed, you just go to the benches on 94th Street. It was not a big deal in New York. But there I am in Massachusetts, making friends with the townies, who then I convinced to get a job, and he applied and got a job being working in the barn. Anyway.
How is that culture shock? Well, let's talk about that for one quick second. How is that culture shock? You are, and by the way, I've been friends with you for over a decade, and you are a city girl. You talk fast, you think big. How is that adjustment? How do you adjust to common folks?
I was 14, dude. To put it this way, within my first week of smoking weed, I bought an ounce with the girls' money I met these kids, told them what I needed, made friends with them. We had a pay phone on our hallway. We call them, they'd call me, and I started buying ounces, but it was with their money. So I got free weed from the first time I ever smoked pot. It didn't click with me that something that you could grow. My mom and her best friend Vera had a huge garden every year. And I just know how the earth just grows things. And that was a lot of money. Cannabis is expensive. Like, I want to get my nails done. I want to buy new carpet. I don't want to buy something I can grow like for free. That to me was bizarre. So I never did. From 9th grade, the first time I smoked, just got stoned, went to CVS, met a boy, got weed, sold it to my friends. That was it. That was the beginning. And then before you knew it, I took a Greyhound bus to California at 18, just 4 years later, to go to Grateful Dead shows, and moved to Santa Cruz, sold weed. My husband sold weed. We put our kids through private school. That's all we ever did. But he built himself up in the music industry through selling weed backstage. And now he's the head of SFX North America or some big job. He puts on the biggest festivals in the whole world. Like, he tour managed Fish, he tour managed The Dead, Mickey Hart, Hydra, Particle. He runs Bonnaroo, Coachella. Like, he's hysterical. Not that he likes me, because I was highly immature. Let's go back to my parents feeding me Ritalin. If you feed your child amphetamines through their whole development, it does stunt their growth. I almost feel like I'm just becoming adult at 50. Do you feel that way too?
That's what I was just going to say. The pandemic hit, and I feel like, okay, whoa. I woke up and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm not in my 20s anymore. I'm 43 at the time, 42 at the time. And I'm like, okay, it's time to be an adult. But fuck, the 20s were fun. We just decided to have it last a lot longer than 10 years.
I don't know if that was that fun for me. No, I'm just kidding. I am so great.
Good with the bad. Yeah, it was a good with the bad. We were able to, both of us, I think, we have a lot of similarities. And one of them is we try to take as much out of this life as we can, because we know we only go around once, at least with this form. So yeah, it's kind of cool. And now we have this wisdom behind us. And a lot of people that listen to our show feel this way. We have this wisdom behind us. It's like, but a part of me also, I kind of miss that train wreck vibe, but I definitely don't want to ever go there.
Well, I still see a lot of train wrecks.
I just don't want to be a train wreck myself. You know what I mean? You've personally seen me a train wreck mode several times.
Moving to Maine was a good call for me. It just ended up I'm devastated that California lost and that the corporate takeover of cannabis happened and our whole community and the legacy farmers was destroyed. And it's devastating. I don't even want to think about it.
Well, you're going to have to, because I'm going to ask you about that. To explain to everybody who's not familiar, explain what happened in California in terms of the legalities and as you call it, the corporate takeover. What happened exactly in California? And if you can give us a timeline as well. We're talking probably mid-90s, mid-2000s is when I think they really started getting their hands in there, right?
Well, what happened was, I'll just go back to the 90s. In the 90s, we had something called Campaign Against Marijuana Production, and they flew around in helicopters and cut down everybody's weed, and took people's property, and it was a total nightmare. In January of 1996, California was the first state to become medical cannabis. So we were, trailblazers. I got a card the first day. It was a big deal. And a whole community that had been illegal was now legal. And the entire California, Washington, and Oregon eventually, but California originally, built this huge industry of organic and soil and taking care of the earth and growing the best medicine. And we built a whole lifestyle, and generations of children were raised, and many doctors were made, and many changes have happened. And, we have Harvard studies and all sorts of proof now, but at that time we didn't. Okay. But we knew, we were doing it. We were seeing what our cannabis medicine was doing to our people that we loved that had cancer. So that's where it all started. And Prop 215 is the medical cannabis, and that started in 1996. 5 years ago, Prop 26, the corporate entities came together and they created an initiative, Prop 64. They backed it with a huge amount of money, confusing funding, and people didn't understand what was going on. I understood, but the majority of people in California, you say recreational cannabis, legal weed, right? It was recreational cannabis, legal weed from the dispensaries and the government. It was like, it destroyed all of the legacy farmers, all the farmers, everyone that built all that, everybody had just, it was a horrific. So we fought it, but it won. And so the corporate takeover of cannabis happened 5 years ago. And so literally I harvested in October. There was a huge fire called the Bear Fire that we were trapped in. I'll send you a video of that. And then a month later, I packed up all my stuff and I moved to Maine. And I've been growing here ever since, loving the soil, loving the laws, loving the community, loving the water, loving everything about it, except for the fact that I was chased out of my redwood forest home, living my dream life in the Santa Cruz Mountains. And I was chased out by the corporate takeover of cannabis. So I can love it here, but I would rather be home in my yurt. We had bought 7 acres. We built a yurt. We had a business servicing all the organic farms. And it was cool because I learned so much, because we had our own farm, but then we would service all these other farms, and it was a service company. So I'd have to use their equipment, their nutrients, their ways. And my guys would just do the work and I would, run it. So I got so much experience. We loved what we were doing. We were both super fit. When I look at pictures of Brett, he's like, oh, we were like doing so much work all the time. So having our whole life just collapse and having to move across the country just to keep our MS patients. And I have people that I've been working with for years that are like dependent on my medicine. And I can't just stop and like, I'm a big enough activist as it is. So I had to keep going. So I'm here in Maine, and that's it.
Hey folks, how we doing? Thank you so much for joining the very first showing. Now you are now in business with your partner Brett. And
Yes.
Wendy, how did you meet Brett? And was he with you in California, or
Oh yes, I met Brett. Dude, this is so classic. I met Brett. Where did I meet Brett? Oh yeah, I met Brett in Pennsylvania when he came to my house with my Santa Cruz. Like I was living in, which
New
is
Hope.
when I met. I was
New
living
Hope.
in the
You had a beautiful house, folks. I've been to that house.
so
We
yeah.
did some cooking with some Cresco oil there. It was amazing.
I was living in a fat ass mansion, and Brett came over with my friend G. God rest his soul. Karma's a bitch. He came over with G. Well, my friends in California found out that he and G were at my house, and they flew out and had a meeting being like, you're not allowed to talk to him, blah, blah, blah. So the thing is that I never would work with G because I knew him from Santa Cruz, and he's just my friend. And he was a bad guy. Like he did drugs. It's bad enough dealing with stone people. Like I have no desire to work with people that do drugs. Like I got no time for this. Like I like people with kids and families and private school bills. That's who I like to work with. The momsies, dadsies, not the I'm a party looking for a place to happen. I call it a toe tag, looking for a place to happen. The way a lot of people act.
Especially when you get into the pharmaceutical industry, which leads to the heroin, a lot of toe tag waiting to happen. So, which is part of what we're doing.
Well, okay, real quick on that thing. If there's anybody out there that makes $80,000 a year legally, I have a really special person, friend. We video chat all the time. And he's 26 years old. He worked for the United States as a translator. He was 6 years old when the Taliban got put out. He's like hiding in Kabul in a closet. They're going to cut his throat. He needs to get sponsored and brought here. And I need someone to sponsor him. So on that hand, anybody that makes 80 grand legally, I will give you weed the rest of your life if you help me get him out of there. He's going to be killed. Anyway, on another hand, my mimosa smells so good. I wish
mimosa is a typically sativa, hybrid sativa strain. My beautiful wife, Kelly Williams, she actually has some mimosa at the moment as well. So that's a very good strain. And
yeah, I grew a lot of it, even though I marked it as cheese, and I thought I grew a bunch of cheese, and it started to flower, and it was, I know the mimosa because I grow mimosa. I was like, yeah. I mislabeled it. So I ended up with no cheese and twice the mimosa, and it was my best plant.
Yay. So let's go into some of the things. So what kind of strands, and because we do have a monster following when it comes to marijuana. This podcast, marijuana, is going to be at the forefront in the legalities. We are warriors in this cannabis battle. We know this. What are some of the strains for our real favorite fans, guys like Devin out there? What are some of your favorite strains that you curate and grow in your at Old School Farm?
Well, I have I think I just got it all over my nose. I have my own strain, which is Old School Farms, which I made with my teacher's strain that he grew for 47 years, breeding it back on itself. And it's called Purple Stemmed Hummingbird. And then I mixed it with my friend and fellow grower up here in Northern Maine, Jim Lewis, Cinder Ridge Farm. He has a strain, Down East Diesel, that I grew here my first year. It was huge, beautiful. My strain was huge and beautiful from my teacher, Purple Stemmed Hummingbird. So the California stuff had never been wet. The Maine stuff was just so wild and big and huge and beautiful. So I made seeds of that. And I am calling it Old School Farms because it's my best California strain mixed with the best Maine strain I ever saw by a million times. So that's Old School Farms. And last year I grew that and I grew 85 of one plant so that I could fill all my tubs, and I still have and make the FICO, so that like all my gummies and everything that you get from me that's medicine like this or the salves, these are all made with my strain, Old School Farms, and it's always exactly the same because it's the exact same plant. So you know what you're getting. It's not, I just make gummies with whatever, because this year I grew 15 strains, 10 I'm sharing, 5, there was just like one plant or whatever. And I learned my lesson last year growing. All I grew was the mimosa and old school farms, and I'm sick of them.
Yeah.
So I grew 15 strains, and like I have Banana Kush right here. This is my favorite of my cannabis this year. This is Girl Scout cookie.
GSC, very popular.
It smells like heaven. I can't even tell you. I'm in love with the Girl Scout cookie this year. I'm doing that in the mimosa in the high 95 cup.
Oh, man. Girl Scout cookies is one of my favorite. I remember actually first time ever buying legal marijuana in my life out in Colorado, 2015. And I absolutely love Girl Scout cookies. Went absolutely crazy with it. Still get it as much as I can out here. Birthday cake is another one I love.
So we have that.
Yeah, I know you do. We mentioned that.
California weed. Yeah, this year. That's another thing, is that there was a huge flood of cannabis right now in this United States. The Oregon hemp farmers grew weed. The Mexican cartels grew weed. The legal growers are backdooring a huge amount of their cannabis to pay their bills. So literally a box of cannabis, 100 pounds. The going rate would usually be $100,000, $150,000 to get 100 pounds, right? 40,000. California weed, you can go buy it for 400 a pound. They have destroyed the market. Everything is changing really fast right now, but right now weed is so cheap that if I was anybody, I would just go to California with all my savings and buy cannabis and go home with it. It will not stay like this.
It's the exact same thing I used to do. I used to buy nickel bags up in Newark, New Jersey, and then come back and sell them for dime bags over at my high school. Same exact shit.
What a good boy.
I'm such a good boy.
I got your weed. I got your weed. I got your weed.
No, who wants my weed, son? Big shout out to a very good friend of our show, our boy Kyle Capone. He actually was in the car with me, and it was actually his cousin that took me, and he actually is a contributor to the show very often when we talk about Black people getting shot, which is always fun.
Oh, talking Black people getting shot. Blood on the Razor Wire is Chad Mark's book, and his YouTube channel is Blood on the Razor Wire TV. And he's from Rochester, and he's trying to save children from premature death and life imprisonment. So he's awesome. So check out Blood on the Razor Wire TV, because we're working really hard, and he gets people out of prison every day. He's classic. I promise you'll love it.
We were going to have links to that in the comment section. We're going to have links to it on our Spotify. So please check him out. And when we talk about that kind of situation, that's what we are. We are warriors in this battle to get cannabis free. I live in Pennsylvania. It is still very much on lockdown. And a guy like Chad Marks is what we need. Powerful people making a difference.
Dude, but he got out of prison on June 25th. Last year, it was 1 year this year, so 2020. He got out June 25th. We got in contact with him the first day. He said, "Hilary, you're a witch." And my friend Jimmy Romans, he had life down to 40 years for cannabis. He said, "We have to get him out." Chad Marks wrote Jimmy Romans' compassionate release, got his paperwork, did all so many Weldon Angelos. Alice Johnson brought his name up to Trump, and on June 19th, Donald Trump gave our boy Jimmy Romans, released him. He walked out January 20th of this year. He had life for cannabis. Now he's free at home. Jimmy Romans put his link. He's the man, the myth, the legend, Red Dog, all about it. And Chad did it. Chad wrote the motion.
And and by the way, I don't want to give him credit, but Donald Trump gave him a pardon.
Yeah, Donald Trump released him from prison out the next day.
Look at that. See that? You can make a difference, folks. So Chad Marks, check that out. We're going to include everything. We're going to get all these links for you. This has been incredible.
I'm going to send you a video of Jimmy Roman's rapping with me. He made up I love him. I visited him. I'm like trying to plan my visit for after Thanksgiving right now. Like I am so happy with Chad for getting Jimmy out. And he's having twins any minute, boys.
We love that. This is amazing. So we got to your journey. We got to what you're doing now. Now let's get into some really great things that Hilary Clarkson. We are with activist, cannabis queen, Hilary Clarkson. And she's also a philanthropist and a hardened curator of trying to make things better for people with cancer, trying to help people with cancer. You've talked about that extensively throughout this interview. So my question to you right now, there's a couple of things that are really near and dear to your heart. Pray for Gray. Tell everybody what this is about.
Well, there are a lot of children that get diagnosed with cancer, especially brain cancer. And we have seen over and over how well cannabis treats these things. So basically what we're trying to do is we are trying to make sure that when a child gets a diagnosis of cancer, remember, these parents are not educated. They do not know anything. They have not spent their lives working on childhood cancer. So they are hit with a brick. So what we would like to do is we would like to come in upon diagnosis, so that anybody that's diagnosed, they are educated and given medicine right away and tincture. During the whole diagnosis, I've had patients that use my medicine for the 5 weeks between diagnosis and surgery, and they see extreme tumor shrinkage in 5 weeks, doing the full work that it takes to use the cannabis, do the lemon water, use it topically, use it internally, really hit it, so to speak. And we see great results. So we're just trying to make sure that people are getting the best possible care and that children are not dying because of reefer madness. Okay. And we have here, there's another little boy, his name is Onyx Redmond, and his parents are here in Biddeford, and he's been at Boston Children's, and he got ATRT this winter past, and he just had the best review. And this is a highly aggressive, deadly cancer of the brain stem and spine. He is doing better than, they can't believe his growth. He's been on cannabis. The day he got it, she's a deadhead. So the day she got this diagnosis, they're at the hospital. She wrote on the Facebook, my baby, these are beautiful hippies. My beautiful baby Onyx has this ATRT, like horrible cancer. So we literally got in our car and drove to Boston and delivered them a huge bag of this medicine for her to get on right away, because she was still breastfeeding. And since then, she has been working with the top doctors. She is using incredibly lab tested cannabis and CBD from the top labs and doctors here in the country. And he gets it through his port. And yesterday he was at Boston Children, and they're blown away by his development, he does not have cancer. He is a miracle. They're like, he's a miracle. Well, thank goodness. But every child deserves that opportunity to have that medicine when we are seeing such great results. So Morgan Redmond, his mom, she's starting a nonprofit, and I'm going to work with her so that when anybody in the state of Maine is diagnosed with childhood cancer, somebody from our organization comes in and donates everything to them, gives them printouts, information, how to take it, and like a FaceTime person like myself, so I can literally teach them, especially with COVID now and immune systems. It's great. We can just go on here. I can teach them how to do it. I can be present so they don't feel so alone, because these parents, it's so scary, So anyway, we're going to try to do that. And we're going to speak at the High 95 Cup this year in December, put on by a wonderful man, Josh Gates. And we're going to let the organic farmers in Maine and the labs, who are all present at the High 95 Cup, because it's our, respected cannabis cup here in Maine, let everybody know what we're doing and ask, to donate. And so what we're trying to put together here is that the organic farms in Maine donate cannabis. My professional, Brett, who makes the medicine, and then the labs donate the testing, so that we have, and then we donate it to anybody who gets a cancer diagnosis in the state of Maine. But we'll start with pediatric cancer, because, hold on.
You go. It's cool. I can edit, like when you're talking and that happens, I can put like a picture or something. I love the video editing aspect. It's fucking great.
Dude, we always need editing for Blood on the Razor Wire.
Let me know if it's worth my time. No, but,
it is.
I know it is. I'm excited, actually. I'm very excited to kind of really get more into what Chad's doing, because those are the kind of things, folks. We can talk about things on the internet all we want. We can go on Facebook. We can do all these things. That doesn't do anything. You got to do is you got to be where the rubber meets the road. And Hilary Clarkson, you have been where the rubber meets the road for, since you were a young lady. So that's pretty incredible that the journey has led you here. I want to get into Bray's Law and how people can help you. And there is a change.org website that we can go on. Tell me everything you're working here.
We're almost at 25,000. And it's almost, it's so much on these parents, because that's their baby. So kind of like Bray has an army behind her, because really her family has 4 children and a family and a child that needs extra care. So in reality, other people, as much as they're doing, they need to take care of their family. So kind of other people have to come in and carry and be like, come on, we need the signatures. We need to just make a point, so that at St. Jude's, it's something that when people come in with children with cancer, it's offered to the children, really the parents too. I mean, I always tell the parents, when you start off the children, you should take it as well. You should understand it. And it's also, there isn't a parent that doesn't have extreme anxiety and depression when they have a cancer diagnosis for their child. So I'm seeing unbelievable results with these gummies. So this is like 12 gummies. That's enough for almost half a month. And a lot of these moms, you can just cut it in half. Boop, right? So this could last almost a month. And these moms, they get good sleep, and dads. I mean, dads need sleep too, but I'm hearing more of women with sleep issues than men, or maybe men don't communicate. I don't know, but we're having great results with sleeping and depression and anxiety. So we would just like to know that the children are given the best options. And when we see tumors shrinking for long periods of time on children that they said would be dead in 90 days, we just want to give other children that opportunity. And so we're pretty much saying, please sign this, please do something, do something, whatever it is, even if it's make a healthy dinner for your family so they don't get cancer.
There's a lot of things. And I'll tell you what, this is where it's very important to make sure these people have their options. You have this option when you are in the hospital, or when you're down with cancer. A lot of times, if they were raised with marijuana as a gateway drug, it's terrible, it's just like heroin, which a lot of people still, then that's where you're running into trouble. But you have to point out, why is this message still being thought out? Well, we know the pharmaceutical industry, the alcohol industry, and the tobacco industry are literally spending millions and millions of dollars to make sure people still think marijuana is the devil, when it's the farthest thing from. And you brought up a couple of stories. You can go all over the internet. There are literally thousands, tens of thousands of stories of cannabis and marijuana medicine making people's lives better. One story, and we're going to have a guest on, Anthony Ravello. He's been on television, major leader in his community. He has cancer. They gave him 6 months to live as a statistic. He has been taking, and I gave him RSO and I also gave him some vaporizer.
Uh,
Hated marijuana, and now his tumor's closed. Go ahead.
RSO is an outdated term. It's not, this is what you're talking about. It's FICO, full extra cannabis oil. RSO is like a brand, and it's made with rubbing alcohol. So you want to call it always FICO because we want to educate, because that's what it is. Full extract cannabis oil. It's not Rick Simpson oil because we make ours with organic extractahol and it's all organic. He literally in his recipe uses rubbing alcohol. So it's still like, we love him. He is a pioneer. He is my hero. I'm so grateful to him. I am in no way belittling him, but we've moved way past RSO. It's just an outdated term.
By the way, folks, that is a great example of Pennsylvania being about 20 years behind everybody, because Pennsylvania uses that term in the dispensaries. FICO, I never heard of FICO until this conversation. So we're going to have lists of FICO. I swear to God, you go into a Pennsylvania dispensary, it's RSO still. So it's interesting. And you know what? That's a great point you bring up. So Pennsylvania, by the way.
Do they have lab testing?
Yeah, they got lab testing. They have everything that's needed. In fact, you can only Pennsylvania marijuana can only be sold by Pennsylvania manufacturers. They cannot import anything out of state.
I like that. I think that's terrific. What about this? How much? Now, this is a gram. I've heard, now don't think I've only been to a dispensary one time, and that was because I was in Colorado with Chad Marks and he wanted to go there. And it was really cool because Covarian Cooper, he's 40 Tons brand. He had 40 years or some ridiculous sentence and they got him out. And he was on the bag of the weed that we bought there. So I've only been to a dispensary once in my life, and it was because Chad wanted to go there and buy a bag with Covarian's picture. But how much is a gram of FICO in Pennsylvania?
A full gram, you're looking probably about $100, between 100 and 120.
Right. That's what I've been told, that sometimes they sell it half grams.
That's what they do.
For
Yeah.
60 or 65.
Exactly.
Okay. So yeah, so our FICO, we donate it. But if somebody asks us what does it cost us to grow all the cannabis? The extractahol is very expensive that it's made with, and the machines and the time. Like, they ask, what is our cost on this, right? So if they wanted to make a donation, and the most I've ever given as a cost on this is $25 a syringe is what it costs. Because if I buy a pound of cannabis and make it, I get about 70 syringes out of a pound. So anyway, I think it's disgusting that something that is so needed and costs $25, that the markup, a lot of places do a 50%, 100% markup. So if they buy it from me, not that I sell it to dispensaries because I never have, but if they buy this for me, I always have a lighter in my hand. It's like a bad habit, but it's not bad, whatever. I wake up sometimes with my lighter in my hand. I'm like, oh, look at my sticker.
I love that.
Anyway, so that's why I don't go to dispensaries, and I'm against dispensaries, and I'm 100% supporting the legacy farmers, is because this costs $25. So why would they get $125 for it? It's real medicine. That is so much money. So let's say somebody came to me and they want to do a full round of cancer treatment. We also treat Lyme the same way as we do cancer, with the 60 grams in 90 days. So if they come to me and they want 60 grams of this, okay, it's expensive to make that much, and it takes a lot of time. It is hard to get it into the 1 gram syringes. It's a lot of work to make this. Okay. And So I would charge them if they were going to donate. The full round is $1,500. Okay. 1,500. That is something that people can put together, and that is a fair price, because in reality, I am not rich. And if somebody needs a full cancer treatment, $1,500 is a great price. It is $7,000, and you have a hard time buying that much cannabis in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So you really could not even go into the dispensary and buy your cancer treatment and feel secure. Like, I'm doing this, I'm doing a gram a day. I'm going to, get rid of this Lyme's disease that's giving me heart issues. I have people having heart attacks from Lyme disease. Like, they literally have to treat as if they have cancer, and they can't go in and buy that much. Boom, they're not going to sell you 60 grams of anything. So it's just annoying to me that people, even with the dispensaries and the legalization, they're still putting it kind of out of reach. $1,500 is a car tune-up and a brake job. $7,000 is a new car. Like, not everybody that, especially, when people are sick, they don't just all of a sudden have cancer. Usually you're sick and you don't realize it, so a lot of people, by the time they're actually diagnosed and going through cancer, have no money. They're broke, they're unemployed. They're like already a pain in the ass to everybody, including themselves, especially because they're frustrated. Hold on, my dog is chewing my floor.
Let's get a look at your dog, by the way. She has a new puppy, ladies and gentlemen. What is this puppy's name?
What, Charlie? And hold on. Stop.
Look at that pretty girl.
She's in trouble, really. So that's my trim bin. That's my bong.
That
That's my cute house.
is gorgeous. Well,
That I love.
You have really curated an amazing legacy in your time. Everything you've done for the last couple, 3 decades is an inspiration. And what's one more time? It's Old School Farms. Where's the petition? Where can we find the petition? To get.
You'll post it, and it'll be great. It's change.org. And TJ, I'll send you pictures of me and you at festivals. Remember when all those people in Pennsylvania thought they put on great festivals, but really there was like 80 of them and they just fought with each other. So I was like, I'm going to put on a festival by myself. And I got like 35 bands to play for free, including TJ motherfucking Duddy.
That's right.
And
I don't know who he is. I heard he's an asshole.
Oh, wait, let me just tell you one other thing. So the reason I did that is I found this kid, AJ Gilman.
Amazing guy.
Listen to this. I just saw him. I just have to tell you this quick story. So when I lived in Pennsylvania, I had a store. It was a front called Off the Hook, right? Look, this is the logo right here.
I think I'm pretty certain I bought a hula hoop from there once.
Yeah, for your daughter.
Yeah.
So I would have music outside my store on Friday nights. So I met these kids in high school and I said, you guys want to play music in front of my store? And they came, and the kid AJ, that day he played guitar and I was blown away by him. And I said, dude, you're awesome. Put a band together. And they made a band and they called it Blend Mode, right? So AJ was in this band, and the kid, AJ, dude, you're going to make it. You are talented. Dude, this kid, I think he's the best drummer I've ever heard. I fucking love this kid's drumming. Okay, he had a Disco Biscuits tattoo on his arm the whole time, obsessed with the Disco Biscuits. And like, I love the Disco Biscuits, the Hammerstein Ballroom, New York. I love Disco Biscuits. My cousin Jefferson used to sit in with them. Like, they're old school family Disco Biscuits.
That's Jefferson Waffle, by the way, former light man for Humphreys McGee, by the way. That's your cousin Jefferson.
Yeah, he loved Disco Biscuits long before he ever came to New York or Boston or whatever. But Mark Brownstein, Disco Biscuits, AJ Gilman, this kid killed it. We got him all the way, his little high school band. I had his parents come into gigs. They were all underage, all the way to Sullivan Hall. I always told him, dude, you are going to make it. You're the real deal. So then he moved to Colorado.
Yep.
got into a band called Greener Grounds, and I have the hat somewhere.
I have
And
a
they
hat.
came
I have a Greener Grounds
out,
hat. Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
They came to California and they all camped at my house and tripped out and helped on our farm. Like the Greener Ground guys, we got to know them. And dude, I'm AJ Gilman's biggest fan. So anyway, so
Me too.
now,
Me too.
he's 29 years old. Last week, I'm in Colorado at the beer line for Primus at the Mission Ballroom. And this gorgeous, handsome, fit man turns around, and it's AJ Gilman. And he tells me, oh, I'm the drum tech for Disco Biscuits.
Yeah.
You can come to New York and Philly. Like, dude, he's going to be the next drummer. How long can he be the tech when he's the best drummer in the world?
Oh, he's on his way. He's on his way. And
I have videos, first shows. I am the biggest fan, dude. I'm so proud of him just for killing it and getting married and putting his energy into being successful and not,
stay within that box. You get, a lot of the people in your life, they are awesome and we love them so much, but they do keep you in a box. This is the limit sometimes with people you love. And if you don't break out of that box, you kind of stay. And AJ went out and made his dreams come true. I saw Greener Grounds in New York City the day I got a tattoo right here, bought a hat, and it's great to see AJ Gilman have the kind of success he's having. Allentown? I love him. Got your spot for your weed right here.
Yeah. Well, I never tried it, but look. See, I got isn't that a good hat for me? Because it's like the fucking shark, like.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's perfect. It's perfect. Our hats are amazing. But Hilary, we want to thank you so much for coming on, being one of our very first episodes here on the Silicon Steve Valli Show. And I just want to thank you for your service to this industry and everything you've done and continue to do. I love you too. It's been an absolute pleasure. And it's honestly been the easiest interview I've ever conducted in my life. You should have your own show and maybe we'll make that happen as well. And you're gorgeous. And I thank you for everything you've brought to the table today. And again, where can we check out Old School Farms?
Oldschoolfarms.com is a good spot.
And they're also on Facebook and all those places. We also and go to change.org and Gray's Law. Try to get the word out. Make sure people know they have options that can save their fucking lives and not put pharmaceuticals into their body.
Yeah.
50 and gorgeous. I love it. Jerry Garcia. Thank you so much, Hilary Clarkson. You are beautiful. Thank you so much. And we will have you back on again. Does that sound good?
Good,
love you.
Hey folks, how we doing? Thank you so much for joining the very first showing of the Silicon Steve Valli Show, and we're going to talk about a few things. And one of them is gratitude. There's 5 values I go by, guys. It's hard work, honesty, kindness, love, and gratitude. And so this is a song I wrote kind of about some healing that we all go through. Every once in a while, man, we all go through our own troubles, no matter who you are. You go through your own bad days. And we were at the height of the pandemic. I just remember trying to figure out what am I doing here? I don't just mean in here now, in Allentown. I mean here in the world. And I didn't know when we were going to be open again. I didn't know what was going on, but I was feeling very optimistic because I started seeing a lot of cool things that are happening in the world and a lot of the awesome things that we can do when we really try. I was kind of over all the divisive shit we were going through, and I contributed to a lot of it. So this is kind of an affirmation and gratitude to the journey of getting to where you need to be. Better days are ahead of us. You do like it better on yourself.
create, and your hard work has no substitute. We go on through all these storms, we got lost along the way. Lost all my guiding light, yeah. I might have myself to blame. Better days are ahead of you as you feed the proper beast. Looking you to grow into even greater than you believe. Yeah. Some said that it cannot be done, you know. They don't wanna get up and do it. Just keep getting up under the rising sun, and you just keep working through it. And I know all the love we've shared and all the things that went down. No, you're never defeated, my love. If you get up, you get your life up when you get knocked down. Better days ahead of you as you feed the proper peace. Hoping you to grow into even greater than you believe. Better days are shining on as your work in progress starts to shine. Better days are shining on and your true self realize. This next 20 years should be fun. I hope. I remember I was listening to a song called Inside the One by a band of friends of mine had. And there's one lyric in there, it says, lift away the veil and let your soul take flight. And a lot of times we need help to get there. And this next verse is actually about my better half, and I love her very much. This could not have happened without you. Without you by my side. We've been through so much now on this roller coaster ride. But all those bad times, they're over. No, I won't let anyone down again. I'll try not to. You shine by my back, 'cause my love, my baby, you know this time it's all gonna win. Better days ahead of you as you feed the proper beat, pushing you to grow into you greater than you believe. Days are counting on as your work in progress starts to shine. Better days are shining on me now, and your true self you realize. Oh, boy, better days ahead of you. Better days ahead. Better days are sure to rise. love, gratitude, kindness, hard work, honesty. Those are the values. You guys, thank you so much for joining the first show. I hope much love. Thank you from Silicon City Valley here in the lesson.